Hi class, now I have a video, I'm sorry, not a video. This is my PowerPoint presentation. It's a video of my PowerPoint presentation on fragments. So this is going to be for grammar lesson number 2, which is called fragments. So what is a fragment? To be a grammatically complete, a sentence must have a subject, verb, and present a complete thought. So a sentence fragment is part of a sentence presented as if it were a complete sentence. Fragments are considered grammatically unacceptable because they only present a fragment of a thought, thus confusing the reader and making a communication ineffective. So let's look at what fragments look like. So their sentence fragments confuse readers because they only present a part of an idea and leave other parts of a sentence out. So there are two types of fragments. The first type is called a phrase fragment, and the second one is called a dependent clause fragment. So let's look at these specifically. You can take notes as we're doing this video as well. And if you have any questions, this is what you should be bringing up in class. So a phrase fragment, this type of fragment lacks a subject, so it doesn't have a subject, meaning we don't know who or what it's about or what place it's about, or it lacks a verb, we don't know what it's doing, or it could be both. This error often occurs when the fragment is actually an extension of a previous or following sentence. So sometimes you guys forget to put in your verb or your subject or both. So here's a strategy that you can do to help you with fragments. First, you begin by considering what the fragment lacks and how its ideas relate to those in sentences before it and after it. Then either connect the fragment to one of its surrounding sentences or add the missing subject and verb. So here's an example. Here's a fragment. George skips lunch every day. Okay, so that first sentence is fine, but you see where there's a period, and then the next sentence is to go swimming. So to go swimming is a fragment because we don't have a subject or a verb. Now we know that you're talking about George. However, in every sentence that you create, once you put a period and you begin a new sentence, what you're saying to your reader is, here's a new thought. So when you're creating a new thought, each thought has to have a subject and a verb. So if you want to, one of the things that you can do is you can connect your ideas. So here's the revised version. George skips lunch every day to go swimming. This way we know that George skips lunch to go swimming, and we know what he's doing. So the subject here is George. The verb is skips. To go swimming is called an infinitive phrase. To go is an infinitive. So just to say to go swimming by itself, you're creating an infinitive phrase, and an infinitive phrase by itself cannot stand as a sentence, and that is why it's called a fragment. Another type of fragment is called dependent clause fragments. A dependent clause, a subordinate clause, is a word group that has a subject and a verb but can't stand alone as a sentence because it begins with a subordinating word. So this type of fragment can easily be identified because it will feel like something has been left out. There will be a question of what more is involved in this idea. So here's a fragment. If we go to the park. So you know that just saying if we go to the park, a lot of questions are coming to you, like, what about that? What are we going to do? So what you have to do is you have to connect this type of fragment with a complete sentence. So if we go to the park, comma, we will have to bring our own lunch. So we will have to bring our own lunch is a full and complete sentence, and it's attached to if we go to the park. And that way we know that we have these two ideas that are connected with each other, and we have a nice sentence here if we look at the revised. So practice looking for fragments in your papers and revise them for one of the strategies you learned today. So I'm going to include other videos about fragments coming after this. If you have questions about a fragment, you can certainly bring this up in class. It's always a good idea to ask questions, because if you're not sure, the easiest way to be sure is by asking questions. And that wraps up this video.